Have had a big win over Essendon in the VFL. This was not a real surprise. They did start the match about a 9-goal favourite. They're one of the better teams, and we're sitting towards the bottom with 3 wins, also missing a few players with Vigo Visentini coming out of the lineup yesterday. We're going to talk all about how the 11 listed AFL players went in the match right now.
The boys from Windy Hill, they may try to break our spirits. They may try to get the best of the Bomber boys.
So the Hawks have defeated the Bombers by 69 points. They were just too big and powerful. They are the premiership favourites in the VFL, and we're towards the bottom. Their ruckman Reeves just totally dominated our ruckman Monteith, and it was just a bit of a one-sided game as expected. As I just stated in the intro, they were expected to win by about 9 goals. They ended up winning by 69 points. But we did have 11 listed AFL players playing in the game, and what you really want to know is who of those 11 players played well, and what does it mean for the rest of the year? Is there any more chance of any more debuts? So McMahon did what he normally did, kick 3 goals, which is pretty good. Very good, I guess. You could look at it, given that we got smashed by nearly 70 points. He's been kicking 3 goals in matches where we, 3 or 4 goals in matches where we're competitive and even win. So to kick 3 goals, 1 in a match we lost by 70 points. He's just one of those players that always just finds a way to kick a couple of goals. Some players just do that. Whether if they're playing well, they're not playing well, he just knows how to find the goal. That's what I like about him. Accurate kick. He did spray one to the right-hand end in the second quarter, but generally he played okay. He had 6 disposals, 3 marks, 1 tackle, 2 contested possessions and 1 score involvement, other than the score involvements that he was able to produce himself on the scoreboard. Gerreyn, who is a bit of a mix of forward and ruckman, also actually had a pretty good game. What's holding him back from getting in the team is, well, he's still developing as a player, but also there's a lot of players ahead of him in that position. But he kicked 1 goal, 1. He had 14 disposals, 6 marks, 1 clearance, 4 contested possessions, and 3 score involvements. I really like the look of Gerreyn. He's a big player. He reminds me, when I looked at the footage of him when he got drafted, he reminded me of Jonathan Brown, just the way he moves. If he can produce any of that, that would be good. He might be a little bit of a late developer, as often happens with these big players. He can also ruck a little bit, but all the ruckmen in our side were really up against it today with the big Hawthorn bodies. But Gerreyn was a pretty good player for us. Unwin had 9 disposals, 2 marks, a tackle, a clearance, 5 contested possessions, and 2 score involvements. It's pretty much his output at VFL level every week. He seems to get the 11 to 12 touches, a little bit less today. Didn't really have a huge influence on the game. Shiel, as expected, always seems to play well at VFL level. Whether he gets into the senior team, I mean, you can make a case that we're very young in the seniors and he can still play a couple of games there before the end of the year. I have a feeling he won't. I have a feeling he will probably play out the rest of this year in the reserves before being delisted, but he had a pretty good game nonetheless. 23 disposals, 1 mark, 3 tackles, 2 clearances, 9 contested possessions, and 10 score involvements. That's something the coaches always look at, those score involvements. It's one of the reasons that certain players haven't been picked. They, might be getting a lot of the ball, but just, not necessarily contributing to chains of play that contribute on the scoreboard. 10 score involvements is a fantastic effort from Shiel. So we'll see what they do with Dylan next week. I'm actually not against playing him. I do tend to think we're a little bit young in the seniors. That's just my opinion. I totally understand the logic of not playing him at all, just playing out the rest of his career. But I do see a little bit of merit in playing a couple more experienced players, given that we only really have a handful of them in the senior team. Perkins, everyone had their eye on Perkins. How did Archie Perkins go? So Archie Perkins actually had a pretty good game. And he should, to be honest. At VFL level, he should have a good game. And really, that's really what we want. We want Perkins to find a little bit of form. It's not necessarily about playing one good game and coming back into the seniors. It's just about finding the ball, just getting back into the flow of the game. I've often mentioned that I think he seems to struggle when, we lose possession of the ball and the team is transitioning from forward to defence. He looks a bit lost. I tend to think he just needs a particular position to focus on rather than throwing him around. I think I made a video about being versatile. I think he's one particular player that could just benefit from playing in a position and just having that consistency. He had 21 possessions, 6 marks, 3 tackles, 1 clearance, 5 contested possessions, and 4 score involvements. Gerreyn and Unwin, in the first half, he was one of our best players. In fact, I would probably say he was just about our best player in the first half. He had 9 possessions in the first half. He faded a little bit in the second half, and he finished the game with 11 possessions, 2 marks, 2 tackles, a clearance, 5 contested possessions. So he came back from a 6-week injury where he had a broken bone in his foot. It was similar to the injury James Hird had, if you remember, back when James Hird was playing. And he played really well in the first half. Now, he's been given jobs basically in the back line to play on, small defenders or small forwards from the opposition team, just to try to shut down small forwards. And he was doing a pretty good job up until he got injured. So on his return today, he really did look good in that first half. I didn't really notice him too much in the second half. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he's doing his job there. He's obviously one of those players that's been given a job to do. So when we're watching the game, we're probably not totally 100% sure, exactly what the coaches know in terms of what he's being asked to do. But I thought he looked very clean with his disposal. And look, I didn't think that he would be a chance to make a debut this year. I still think the chances are less than 50%. But after watching today's game, I think he's probably now an outside chance only perhaps to make a debut before the end of the year. Menzie was one of our best players. He had 12 disposals, 4 marks, 3 tackles, a clearance, 4 contested possessions, 5 score involvements, and he had 5 scores. He kicked 2 goals, 3 behinds. So he's doing his job down there. Look, you'd expect he should play pretty well. He's obviously an AFL listed player. But to have hit the scoreboard 5 times in a match that we lost by 69 points, that will do him no harm. Obviously, there's not too many players playing in his position in the seniors. Kako obviously is settled there. We have Oscar Smart debuting against the Tigers, so there's a chance Menzie could potentially take his spot. We'll see, but he did have a pretty good game. Guelfi was quiet. Guelfi had 6 disposals, 1 mark, 2 tackles, a clearance, 3 contested possessions, and 1 score involvement, and really didn't influence the game. El-Hawli last week was in our top 3 players, and I would say today also he was one of our best, maybe 5 or 6. And look, he is, he very much suited to VFL level, and he's at that level, I think, El-Hawli, where he's kind of between VFL and AFL level. I think he's a very good player at VFL level, but he's just maybe, not quite there at AFL level just yet. So his disposals, he had 20 disposals, 4 marks, 3 tackles, 7 contested possessions, and 2 score involvements. This was quite similar to his output last week. He had 21 or 22 possessions last week. His pace and his drive and, the way he attacks the ball is pretty good. And I think that there is, once again, a pretty good chance he plays before the end of the year. Day-Wicks looked like he suffered a little bit of an injury towards the end of the game. It might have been cramp, but he was on the bench sort of talking to the other people on the bench there and some of the officials as to what was wrong. Hopefully it's just cramp and it's not a soft tissue injury. He had 9 disposals, 4 marks, 3 tackles, 4 contested possessions, and 1 score involvement. And Davy Jr actually played pretty well. Davy had the 19 disposals, which is a season high for him this year. He hasn't got the ball that much this year. 3 marks, 2 tackles. I saw him take a couple of intercept marks as well. He was playing in the back line for a bit, at least when I saw him down there he was. So that was a pretty significant game from Davy Jr. And look, he'll need still a bit of a miracle, I think, to stay on the list because he hasn't been producing too much. But look, you can't really ask much more than what he produced down there. I think he actually was playing in the back line for large portions of this game, which was something different, at least when I saw him down there from what I could gather from the stream when I was watching it. So that is the VFL report. 11 listed players. I thought Menzie was probably our best player. El-Hawli was very good. Gerreyn was good. McMahon was kind of quiet, but still kicked his 3 goals. And Perkins was very good as well. Not to mention Dylan Shiel with those 23 possessions and 10 score involvement. So what do you guys think? Who do you think should be coming into the team? Who do you think should stay in the reserves? Did any of you watch the game? Is there anything I missed? There's only sort of so much stuff you can pick up when you do watch the live stream. But I was watching it so I could report on it and let you guys know what's going on. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a great day, everybody. And as always, go Bombers!